Welcome to the first ever episode of the Crush Cast. My name is Luigi, and with me here we have...
Me. Alex.
Oh my god.
Who?
No one talked.
It's just like... Okay.
My name's Alex. I'm the owner of the Crush 40 Discord.
I'm Bravo. I'm the only moderator of the Crush 40 Discord.
I'm Morris. I am a member of the Crush 40 Discord.
Wow.
All right,
A VIP member, though.
all right. I'm RM. I'm a staff member of the Crush 40 Discord.
And I'm Luigi. I am the host of the podcast.
Awesome. So, a lot of Crush 40 stuff has happened the past month.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes.
Very exciting stuff.
Yeah, I guess the biggest thing to mention is the Chile concert. So,
Yeah.
Yep.
Some backstory. So the Chili show was done, and June was not in this show. This was if you want to call like a solo Johnny Crush 40 thing. So there was a Chilean guest band who accompanied Johnny with everything. And I gotta say, at least for somebody who's a huge fan of like live shows, the show went decently, really well overall. The show in general, I think the set list was really, really good, having a few songs we haven't heard live in a little while. And also, too, like just mentioning this just out of the blue, Johnny's energy on this show was on point.
Oh,
and
yeah,
you can
absolutely.
tell that this was like one of these like pent up things. Like he's able to finally sing some Crush 40 songs since he hasn't been able to sing them live since 2019.
Yeah.
Right?
yeah, but it's interesting. He's improved so much recently. Because I think sort of an interesting thing happened with Crush 40, where in 2016, the Sonic 25th anniversary happened, and we sort of all know about that. And Johnny didn't sound that good then. I think that really hurt the band's live reputation, that event.
Yeah.
When the 30th Symphony came out last year, I've seen like a lot of the top YouTubers who were reacting. They were really, really surprised at how good Johnny sounded then. I think Johnny's been sort of training and during COVID, and he's really sort of, been doing a lot of physical stuff. And I think it's really showing in the concerts, and I think he's managed to change things a lot.
Yeah,
so
he's
that's
really
good.
sounding the best he has, I think, since live into our live.
And this is the first show where we get first Crush 40 show where we get to really, like with a crowd, that we get to really see that. So I think it's really cool.
Something else that's really cool, though, is that with this Chili show, a few members who are in the podcast today actually was able to help with some of the pre-production things. Alex is going to be the one mostly talking about this type of stuff, but there's some really funny little stories that we think you guys would love to hear. So,
Yeah,
Alex,
you get
the
quite
floor.
a close-up look.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So with this show, some interesting stuff happened. So obviously June wasn't there, so it kind of became a non-Sega production, and it was up to Johnny to prepare everything. So he reached out to me to organize the pre-production and figure out like who to get involved. So I got Michael. He helped record some guitars for the concert that's going to play in the background.
Rhythm guitar.
Yep. Morris, who's here with us right now, he did a whole bunch of audio production for this. I'm sure he has some things to say about that. And our MO5, he recorded some gameplay for the video, and he made a guide for me for my visuals, which is the key thing I did. I got everyone together, and I managed the visuals, the stuff that's on the screen behind the band. So that's sort of what happened, and we all got involved, and that was really, really cool. So I guess we should start with the sort of like...
Yeah, how the show came about, pre-production.
Yeah, so it all sort of started... It started like all the way back in November. Johnny actually asked me to write the set list for the show, because he wanted... Because I'm a fan, obviously, and and I've heard a lot of the fans talk about the songs and stuff on the server, so I sort of know roughly what the fans want to see. Funnily enough, better than Johnny does, which, sorry Johnny, but it's true, which I did, and we had a bit of back and forth. I was reluctant to put songs like Never Turn Back in the set list, But obviously that's a big song, and Johnny was like, "No, bro, put Never Turn Back in it, please." No, okay, I'll put Never Turn Back in.
Why were you reluctant to put it on there?
Alex?
It's just it's just a song that I don't know. I don't enjoy it that much.
I love
don't
it
enjoy
personally.
as much as others.
Wow, that is a
I
hot
know
take.
that's a very very unbased opinion. I know, but
Is that the first hot take of the podcast?
It's tragic.
I think so.
You're
No,
not
but I
you're
mean-
not giving a good first impression, dude.
No, the first hot take is in our intro videos where I cuss someone out.
Oh.
Yeah.
Amazing.
We don't talk about that though.
We don't talk. No, that's our M's line. We don't talk
Yeah,
about
exactly. Come on.
that. Anyway,
Okay.
That's true.
but yeah, so I when developing the set list was kind of interesting, and that happened ages ago. And then the set list went to the band, and they sort of rehearsed around that. And I didn't really hear much from then on. Like it was just kind of, it was like what we needed to do. We needed to create a backing track, audio to go behind the band to fill in like instruments they can't have live, and that was sort of for 3 months. It was just sort of like, well, we need to get this done at some point, and that was kind of it. It was all silent for a while.
So how long were all of you working on the backing stuff in the backing video? Like, when did you properly start working on it?
I'll let Morris talk a bit about the backing track and sort of like the stuff that he had to replicate and like
Yeah, so first, back in November, Alex, you asked me like about like the synth stuff in Call Me Crazy, if like I would
Yeah.
be able to recreate that, which I ended up being able to do. then
perfectly.
then you asked about Live Live, and I was like, oh god, strings. That was just kind of sitting there for a while. And then like a few months later in January, like we were talking about, I think it was like his role or something.
Yeah.
Then we decided, well, you were just like, oh, I'll put you in charge just for the backing track from now
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Yeah, you're just like, let's get the man who knows the soundtrack of Sonic Eraser.
It started. Yeah, who knows all the composing credits of Sonic Eraser. Morris is
It's
just
just
like
one
this
guy.
big mega mind of Sonic.
He's just an
music lore.
encyclopedia. He's like the VIP member.
It was quite funny how it turned out. So it started with me building a backing track myself, and I was getting everything organized. But then the more I spoke with Morris, as he just discussed, like the more I began to realize, like, why am I doing this? Like Morris,
Yeah, like, why am I wasting my time when I could just delegate it all?
why am I saying, hey Morris, can I have this bit? Can I have this bit? When I don't even know all the bits that are there. So I just said, Morris, you just take over the backing track, and I will create the visuals concurrently with you. And that's basically what happened.
You send me over like all of Johnny's vocals you recorded, all of Michael's
yeah.
guitar bits and stuff.
Oh, yeah, that's another thing. Johnny recorded new backing vocals. It's not old ones, because
Yeah.
we didn't have any stems. This is an official Sega production. Normally, June would have the actual backing
Yes,
vocals
exactly.
or backing track, but we had to, well, not we, but they had to replicate everything
Yep.
from
It
scratch.
was really fun getting to play with Johnny's vocals.
The entire hour like of music, roughly, he recorded about 5 layers of backing
7.
vocals, and in some
Yeah.
places there are 5 layers. 7, yes.
Oh, yeah, he knows the exact number.
I got the files put up right here.
Hey, I got the file.
Okay,
Oh, of course you did.
great.
Yeah, but so he recorded so many layers. He recorded all of it in 2 days.
Wow.
14 songs, I think. 7 layers of backing vocals in 2 days.
Jeez.
It's
And
pretty
that-
impressive.
I spent like I think like roughly a week. I was just going down the track list and like mixing
Yeah.
the vocals,
Yeah.
the additional guitars, strings in Night of the Wind.
Yeah, so weren't the strings done by a member of the server?
Yeah, so Night of the Wind was an interesting one because we have a Night of the Wind cover coming out soon,
Mhm.
and Skanking Dead, one of the servers of the member, one of the members of the server, he had already made a bunch of strings for that, and I just kind of said, well, maybe we can just reuse the strings from our cover, our server cover, in the concert, and that's exactly what we did.
Some songs were just like, oh, just some vocals, or like the Call Me Crazy things that I had already done a few months ago.
Yeah.
And then there's like Sonic Boom.
Oh yeah, Sonic Boom.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
a lot of synths.
yeah,
a
that
lot of
was ton
synths, and I
synths
had
too.
I tried to isolate a sample from the Cash versus Jun Tsunoe remix of Supersonic Racing.
Yeah, he used that to get bits of audio to use.
Yeah, one of the synths in the Sonic Boom backing track I'm really proud of because it's literally a default preset for a synth I have, but it just sounds the
It's not
exact
much to be
same
proud of. Then.
as used in the actual original song.
Yeah, the synths
Yeah.
on Sonic Boom were very impressive. I loved how they sounded. Same with
Thank
Call
you,
Me
thank you.
Crazy.
The entire backing track just sounded
Perfect.
fantastic.
It did
Yeah.
sound
Everything
legitimate.
was great.
I
Michael's guitars were also perfection. I
love how
sounded.
Michael's guitars sound on his world.
Yep. So a huge thank you to Michael for helping with that.
Yeah.
So then it was just kind of the backing track was starting to get done. I had started on the visuals.
And oh boy, that was a journey.
Yeah, that was a journey for me.
I got to experience some of that when Alex was DMing me on Discord. I was just
Oh, yeah.
watching it all
Don't
unfold.
mention it. Don't mention it, man.
Every night I was like, oh my god, Resolve will not do this thing, bro.
Yeah, so Alex was using DaVinci Resolve, and good old Alex, you see, Mr. Alex Burrows here had a outdated GPU, a GT640,
Yeah.
and poor little thing from what, like 2014?
2012.
2012, okay, even older. Somehow it still had the latest driver updates, but poor old thing from 2012 cannot update to the latest Resolve versions because it didn't even have CUDA cores.
Yeah.
So
It didn't have the right version of CUDA cores that
Yeah,
the
so-
newer versions of Resolve couldn't handle.
yeah, so you were stuck on what version of Resolve?
16.1.2.
You remember the exact you remember the
From
exact version
2019.
string. So yeah, so poor Alex here was just making 500 workarounds a minute.
Yeah, there were so many bugs.
His Resolve was
Oh
crashing.
my god. Listen, it was very, very tight, okay? Getting
Yeah.
the stuff to Johnny for this concert, the visuals and the backing track was done, but getting it all ready, that was really, really tight. So what ended up happening was I got it all done about a week. Actually, it was less than a week. It was about 5 to 4 days before the show. And then I just had to render it out into like video files for them to use at the show. But my PC and this version of Resolve would not do that. It would crash midway through all of the logo animations between the songs. And I had to do this ridiculous process that was so slow. It took like 7 hours per logo animation. Oh my god, it was a nightmare. It was
I'm getting
absolute chaos.
flashbacks to the walls of text Alex sent me.
I know. I remember Morris was recounting to me that like every night he was just chilling on his PC, and then he saw a notification from me, and he was like, "Oh god, here we go."
Here we go again.
Ah, shit, here we go again.
I was It was an emotional experience. Okay.
Don't make me choke on my water, okay?
So, is that Johnny's water? So yeah, so that was.
It is.
kind
It's
of-
Johnny Gioeli branded water bottles.
At the Chili show, and
Nice.
we'll sort of get to the actual Chili show in a moment. Johnny was like, before the show, he was advertising the hell out of this water brand called like Uwu Water or something. I don't remember what they were called.
Yeah.
Ooh, water? What?
You should have put it in the backing video.
Listen,
God.
okay, I'm taking notes for next time.
There you go.
Anyway, after like 5 days of suffering, and Michael, he was like preparing his PC, he was like installing Resolve, and he was like, okay, I'm gonna render it out myself, and I was sending him the 40 gigabytes of cutscene data for him to render it out as like a backup. And so I got the data rendered out, I think it was about 2 days before the concert, and I gave Johnny the links, and then Johnny said, it's gonna take me 5 days to download this with my internet. I was like, oh my god. He was
5
using hotel
days.
Wi-Fi, and then it was like, right, okay, now you need to get somewhere with fast internet so you can get the data and you can give it to the crew as soon as possible. And it's sort of like it had to get passed on to Carlos. He's the drummer. He was the organizer of a lot of it, and he had to go and download it from like his home. It was all back and forth. But then Johnny got the visuals and he listened through, and then there was a lot of panic because Johnny thought that the versions of the songs that were in the backing track and the visuals were different from what the band had been playing. He thought, for example, that the band had played the entirety of Green Light Ride in their rehearsals, while the backing track is only the short version of Green Light Ride. In the end, it turned out that wasn't the case. It had just been a misunderstanding, so okay.
But then there was the What I'm Made Of thing as well.
Yeah, so then, as if that wasn't enough, okay, this is all, like, just to remind you, like, this was, like, less than 48 hours before the show happened, okay? This was all build-up happening. And then we were worried, at the end of Live and Learn and What I'm Made Of, they do, like, at these concerts, they do, like, these extra big, like, bam, 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 like, extra extended endings to, like,
yeah, with like big drum
epic.
fills and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a breakdown.
And I was worried that the band wasn't doing those. And I looked at the guide. I sent them a guide months ago. And I looked at the guide that I sent them, and I realized that What I'm Made Of ending wasn't on that guide. Like, it just cut off after the end of the song. It was just a studio song. So I was worried that they weren't going to do the endings, and, Johnny was worried that they weren't even doing the full song. They weren't even doing the right
This
lengths.
is a mess, man.
And Johnny was preparing his teleprompter, and he asked me for the set list. I DM'd it to him on WhatsApp. We'll get to that in a minute. He printed it off, and he was, like, writing notes all over it. And while all of this was going on, the merch store had to come out the day of the show as well, because he was doing, like, this tie-in thing. But I got the data to them, and they did a sound check. Johnny told me that they had, like, some famous mix engineer. He was, like, the guy who mixed
Living La Vida Loca, or whatever it's called.
Oh, that song, yeah.
Yeah, that song. They actually had the guy who worked with the artist who made that song and maybe mixed that song, actually running the soundboard at the sound check, which was cool. And Johnny was telling me about how the monitors were perfect. It was all pristine. He was happy. It was all great. And then on the day, we kind of, what ended up happening was me, Morris, and RM, we were just, like, hanging out in voice chats here on the Crush 40 Discord.
We were in a call all day.
Yeah, in anticipation of this thing that we had messily prepared. I shouldn't say we. When I say messily, I really just mean me.
I really just mean me.
Wow, that sounds like a really cool Discord server. I should join right now by going to discord.gg/crush40. We should go there right now and join the server.
Discord.gg/crush40. Do it. Hype was just tangible in the air in the Crush 40 Discord.
It's kind of funny, actually, because we're not going to the show, but we were hyped as hell to see this show happen because of all the work we'd done. And last minute as well, this was right after I sent Johnny the visuals and that was done. I decided, you know what would be funny? So if we made a bingo card for this concert for the crowd members, and it's like the things that Johnny typically does at concerts. Okay.
One of the people going to the concert, who was a longtime fan of Crush 40, she printed out all the bingo cards. And it became a thing. It became like a B plot of the concert.
Yeah. So I'm gonna quickly read out some of the things we had on this bingo list because it was great. Time taken for Johnny to forget the lyrics. Mm-hmm.
Didn't take long, I think.
Yeah, it didn't take long at all. Johnny gets the crowd to sing. Time taken.
Didn't take long.
Johnny imitates guitar in the air during solos. Johnny drinks
didn't
water.
Take long.
Lots of water.
Didn't take very long either.
Yep. Johnny saying, "I know you know this one." Nope.
Did he
said that? He did say that.
Of course.
We're gonna take you back.
Oop.
During All Hell Shadow, this one's not about Sonic
Yep.
He did that.
or
Per usual.
Eggman. It's about Shadow. So he did that as well. Johnny runs his finger. I didn't do that one actually. Johnny didn't run his finger down his spine during Live and Learn. So I am gonna DM him and I'm gonna ask him for everyone to get their money back. Everyone he bought.
But he made up for it. He fell on the floor. He fell face down on the floor and started singing on his back with his mic.
And he did the What I'm Made Of.
Funny.
Try to take a bite of me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Johnny shouts Mr. June Snowy as a joke or accidental. Yep.
Despite you not even being there, but he did do it.
Johnny says something in Spanish. Yeah, he did that like the entire show.
Mucho beans.
Mucho.
Johnny asked for monitor changes. Of course.
Of course, we cannot have
fact,
a
not
Crush
only
40
that-
show without monitor changes.
Not only that, but one of the monitors is actually dead at the beginning, and he had to like get a tech member to come over and fix it. Johnny forgets. Okay, that's the same stuff. Yeah. So I can't read. Just cut that. Right.
Now we're not cutting that part out. If you can't read, that's your problem.
As the young folk like me would say, L plus a ratio.
L plus ratio.
Oh my god.
Anyways,
We were all hanging in the VC, and I made the bingo cards, and Morris was hysterically laughing. And then I just started playing the visual. I started playing the visuals with the click track, and like nothing else. And Morris was hysterically laughing. And then later on in the, and then
Why are you laughing now?
okay.
Wow. See as big comes on screen. Wow.
this looks so funny out of context.
I know.
I did like the whole thing in stereo, and then Alex was like, "Yeah, it's gonna be a mono."
What are you not even laughing? What is so
Just,
Are you guys okay?
just the raw backing track, the click track, and just the video combined.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Oh god, here we go again.
Only Morris will laugh at a click track.
I put it. It's a fucking Audacity click track. I made the click track.
And you're still laughing at it. Then it was coming up to being time for the concert.
Right.
And RM, I think it was RM, right? I think RM, you found this streamer.
Yeah.
Right? So RM, do you just kind of want to like explain what happened there?
Okay, so basically, I was trying to look for somebody that might have been like streaming the event, right?
Right? Yeah, because
Yeah.
we want to see live.
Like,
That was the worst voice crack of my life.
okay, so basically, we
God.
were just trying to see what was going on during the event because we had nothing. I found this streamer. She was like doing like there was like a costume contest going on at the time.
At the Chile Expo.
Yes, like where Johnny would have been performing, and then literally after like she got in an Uber and left.
Yeah, she just like she went by the venue. She looked around a bit. She did some push-ups on the floor of the venue as
They were awful.
on stream.
Awful.
And as we were like looking at other media, like we kept looking back on her stream, and she was like at a different fast food restaurant every time we looked back. And
What
like,
did
where are
we
you
go to
going?
besides Chile and McDonald's?
And then she was at go-karting, I think.
Oh my
I
god.
think that was
No, but, like-
during the show at that point.
So we just kind of had to rely on info from the people who are on the server, discord.gg/crush40, who are at the venue. We just
Plug
kind of
it
had to.
anytime you can, challenge.
We just kind of had to. We were just kind of getting information from them about what was going on. They sent a few clips in of like the meet and greet and like them meeting Johnny, and that was cool. And then as it was really starting to come up to the show, we were getting very, very anxious. And then they said in AEX in the chat, the people
Right.
who were there, they said that the show was delayed. That
Yeah.
it was going to be late. And most people were like, oh my god, it's going to be late. This is a bit of a pain. This is a bit awkward. I was like, hell yes, because I saw the time it was supposed to happen, which was 5 p.m. when it's like bright daylight. I was hoping that the concert would happen when it was a bit darker. So like, you get like the lights to be a bit cooler and stuff. But it happened. It still happened during bright daylight because,
Middle of the summer
About-
over there, so
yeah. What was it, like 5 or 10 minutes after they said it was delayed, everything just fell silent, and we kind of suspected that it had started then. It was like basically no delay, so I don't know what all that was about. A bit confusion. They maybe they were downloading my visuals, and maybe it was happening.
Oh.
So everything went silent. We knew the show was happening. I had to I think what happened is I went and had dinner, and then I came back, right as RM had found some recordings from Iris, I think. Was that what happened, RM? Do you sort of remember?
We were going through Instagram looking for stuff, and then somebody in the VC was like, "Hey, there's a crowd recording on someone's Instagram page."
And then we were all jumping to that, and I joined right as you guys were going to it as well. I remember I was so excited, and RM wasn't quite controlling the video in the way me and Morris wanted, and we kept going go back, go back, go back.
Yes.
we were so excited.
I remember one of the first clips I think was Sonic Boom, and I was very anxious.
Yeah, it was.
Wait, is the backing track even audible? I can't hear it.
Can you hear the synths?
Of course, it's some.
Did Morris
crowd
get
recording,
bamboozled?
so audio isn't perfect, but I was very anxious for a second.
Oh yeah, and we saw this picture out of context of Johnny climbed up on the lighting
Yeah,
thing, and we
we'll
were
get to
what
that.
the hell? It was all pretty exciting, and I was shaking. I was shaking a little bit. Okay, at this point, I'm gonna set up a timeline. Okay, so at this point, I was shaking a little bit. Okay, at this point in the night.
Okay.
And then all the people who were there came onto the server, and I'm like, wow, the show was great. And then Luna, one of our members, was like, wow, I screamed when I saw your names on the screen, and I was like, yay, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, because Johnny, I think I sent Johnny something about some Sonic Heroes backing track stuff.
Yeah, oh yeah, this is funny.
And then Johnny
Yeah.
he replied to me and he said something about that he was gonna ask Alex to put a credit roll in the backing video at the end.
And then he didn't ask me until 3 weeks later. Yes, so it was Johnny's idea. If you look at the concert, which you can watch after you experience this experience.
Do not click
Phenomenal
off, or I will
podcast.
come to your house, get in your walls.
I'm already in your walls.
Yeah, so if you look at the concert, you'll see that our names were actually credited on the screen. I think in the end it was really cool because it was worth everyone who was involved in the server jumping onto Twitter and be like, wow, look, it's my name on the screen behind Johnny.
Oh my
and then
God.
and then especially on Morris, everyone was like, OMG, Morris, OMG, this is so amazing. It was worth it. I do think it kind of broke. It was all kind of seamless, and then it was like, oh, these are the people. And now when you know the people behind something, it becomes a little bit less magic.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
So at this point, when sort of that picture came out, I started shaking even more. I was even more excited. I was like, oh my god, this is so
Yeah,
cool.
Alex had
And
another 5
yeah.
cans of Monster Energy.
Yeah, I had. They were there in spirit. So I had I drank a few more Monster Energy cans. I was so hyped. And then in general, I think we were talking about something. And then Luna was like, by the way, Alex, watch out for the people who message you thinking you're Johnny. And I was like, what?
Yeah,
What? I was like, what are you talking about? And yeah, so I was already shaking a lot from the excitement of the concert. And then a few minutes later, I got 2 DMs from Luna. I didn't look at them at first because I was we were still looking through all these crowd recordings and all these crowd images. So we were kind of doing that. And I think she sent me the images, and it was about 5 minutes after she sent them to me. I then actually looked at the DMs, and what I saw 2 pictures of this guy at the venue holding a sheet of paper, right? With a text I sent Johnny listing out what the set list was, with my phone number right at the top, proudly in presentation on the sheet of paper, fully
Unmasked.
visible. There were a bunch of people taking pictures of this sheet of paper that this guy was holding up, and I was just I just started laughing. But it's so ridiculous. I was not expecting to see one of my texts with Johnny on a piece of paper. It's so ridiculous. And but I couldn't stop laughing. And Morris and RM were like, "Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing?" And then I sent it to I was slamming the table and everything. And then I sent it to Morris, and then Morris started laughing hysterically as well.
What did Johnny do? What happened? Huh?
I don't know whether to laugh or not.
Well, your phone number is just there.
What? It's not okay, but it's unbelievably funny.
Super funny.
Bro.
So if I wasn't already shaking from the credits, right? Like, you know, Morris didn't even have his last name in the credits. I got my phone number credited to this work. Okay. As it turns out, the guy who was waving around that piece of paper was the guy who was playing my backing visuals on the screen. So what I will say, and I do just sort of want to talk a little bit about like how I feel about the whole phone number thing. He did do a very good job during the concert of playing my visuals. Okay, so he treated my visuals with respect. He didn't treat my phone number with respect, but he treated my visuals with respect. So I'll give him that. Okay, and honestly, like. I'm not that bothered by it, and I don't necessarily blame him, because like it's kind of a thing where two people, because Johnny is the one who decided that it was okay to print that on a piece of paper and give it to a crew member he doesn't know, and he was the guy who thought it was okay to show a piece of paper with a random phone number on it. But both sides are kind of justified in their own way, and to be honest, I don't mind. I get kind of when you're at a concert and it's all very exciting, and like you just like the crowd are like, show me the set list, show me the set list. He has this piece of paper and he's like, okay, look, I'll show you guys, look, I get it, okay, it's a very exciting time, and I don't blame him, I don't blame Johnny. It's just really, really funny to be honest, and you know, nothing bad's come of it, so hey, there's that.
I mean, have you gotten any messages at all aside from
Bravo?
Aside from me messing with him, no.
Which
I don't
says
think
a lot
anyone
about
really
his character.
cared to check, honestly.
Well, even though a phone number was leaked, visuals were done, everything was great, but now it's time to talk about the set list itself. Yeah, so let's get into it. So open your heart, the beginner, the thing that pumped the crowd up.
It's the song that, like, you have to include this in a Crush 40 set list. Like, this is the song. If you don't start with this song, there must be something wrong with you.
Yeah, exactly. And that was my thought process when I was writing the set list, obviously. In fact, I think when Johnny asked me for the set list, he already had that filled in. So like, yeah, it was a no-brainer. Open your heart first. Okay. So how did we think that it went from sort of what we've seen of the show?
So it started with the song Introduction from the SA1 opening, and like the transition into Open Your Heart was different than how we were expecting them to do it.
Oh yeah. The band did this kind of interesting thing where they like introduction goes da 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 da, and then it stops.
And then Open Your Heart kicks in. They waited like a split second, sort of a second of silence, and then they started playing.
That was weird. We weren't expecting that, but it's cool. It's cool to have an alternative.
I quite like the visuals in Open Your Heart, especially because most of the time it's just like a few different scenes that they reuse throughout on the videos, but Alex actually went above and beyond here, and he...
Yeah, so with this show, and I guess now that we're talking about the show, I'll sort of introduce this now. So in terms of, obviously I've talked a lot about the suffering I went through making the visuals, but the actual visuals themselves, this is, and I'm not just saying this because I made them, okay, like this is literally objectively the truth. These are the best visuals the band has ever had behind them at a concert. But the reason for that is in previous shows, it's always been, well, besides the solo Johnny shows, have always had their visuals done by June, and June has about a billion other things to prepare. Right, he doesn't really have time to be
yeah, he doesn't have time to be crafting in Windows Movie Maker the most pristine visuals he could muster up out of his good old Windows Movie Maker on his Windows 7 PC. You know, he can't be doing that.
I remember you messaging me like, I now get why people like making those AMVs.
Yeah, exactly. it is actually a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. One of the things that I'm most proud of is the bits between the songs, because there's this. It's inspired. A lot of the visuals were inspired by the previous visuals, the previous concerts. It was important to me that we keep some consistency. There's this standard thing at Crush 40 shows where they have the logo show up on the screen between songs and like shake so the crowd can go, "Wow, Crush 40!"
OMG, it's the Crush 40.
Yeah, they do that at all their shows. So what I wanted to do was I said, yes, I want to keep that. I want to keep that thing where the Crush 40 logo appears on the screen between songs and shakes, but I want to take it to the next level. I want to put some like moving text in the back, and I want to do like this cool stuff. I want to have visuals bleed through the middle of the logo. I wanted to take the idea that the previous shows have done and just take it to the max. And that's exactly what I did. And every song during that opening thing, every song uses a unique color. Sonic Heroes got green at the beginning. Green Light Ride got green at the beginning.
Every song got a unique color.
There were different shades of green, okay?
His one got blue. 3 got green and white, green and yellow. Even I can't even say colors. Right? Okay. Call Me Crazy got purple. Live Life got blue. Night of the Wind got blue. I Am All of Me, Never Turn Back got red, and that was the end of it. So yeah, I really wanted to show a lot of understanding of the show, of the songs, and show that it was really taking advantage of being synced up to the music and whatnot. So the next song in the set list was Sonic Heroes, and there was a minor issue, and this is kind of something that we can see. The band tried to go into the song too early. Morris, do you want to talk a bit about that?
So Sonic Heroes starts with a drum loop. So for live shows, they play that for a bit longer so the performers can prepare. Eventually, it will transition into the song proper. And I guess Carlos, the drummer, wasn't quite on time. Like he started early, so the whole band kicked in a little bit early. Then they stopped for a second, and then they started playing again, so they were in sync with the backing track.
Yep, and so Green Light Ride went by fine.
Yeah, I think it actually went by pretty perfectly.
So great. Next up, His World.
Wait, before that, we do cross off something on our bingo list. Johnny drinks some water at the end of Green Light Ride. Gotta know.
Oh, yes.
Yep, great. I'm so glad that you really wrote that down and pinned it to your wall.
Yeah.
Drank water, smiley face. But yeah, moving into His World.
Yeah, so it's so bizarre. Like the way that they always play His World live, their version of His World. They always go inside of you, yeah, and then go into the chorus.
They just skip.
Yeah,
they just
verse. Skip all of the verses. They just go at the end.
But it's not just that.
And then
like,
just go
it'd be
straight
one
into
thing
the
to
chorus.
skip the verses. It's the way they do it and have an incomplete line in there. It's weird. But and I was talking to Johnny about that. I was just musing about it. I was like, it's funny how you do that. And he was like, listen, all June's idea. Anyway. Start of His World.
Mr. Johnny Gioeli, he just did some things, climbed up a metal pole.
The lighting truss, yeah.
Just decide to climb up it, everyday things you see from Johnny.
Yep, he did that right as it was at the most edited part of my backing visuals. Johnny, you could have timed it better.
It was, yeah, Johnny. Next time, can you get better with the visuals?
Yeah, if it's a heavily edited part, Johnny, don't do stuff like climbing up lighting truss. Okay, wait until it's a less exciting bit.
But His World just had problems, and it really was almost throughout. The band was early the entire time. You could actually hear parts where Johnny's saying, His World, and 5 seconds later you hear the backing track going, His World.
A second later or so. Yeah.
It's super off.
Yeah, I think that was because of the extra long pause that is before the first chorus hits, and that carried on all the way until the final chorus started, where they could sync back up again.
I do want to share sort of because I'm sure Carlos would appreciate having the facts in this. So what he basically said was, there was an issue where he couldn't hear the click that well in his ear. And this ties in actually to what I was saying earlier about the sound check and how they had this famous mix engineer. That mix engineer guy was only there for the sound check. At the actual show, they had a different guy doing the sound. And he basically felt that the monitors had changed a lot between the sound check and the actual show. And it did throw them off a bit, and he felt that yeah, it is what it is. But it's okay, and it gives it a bit of a human element, so it's all cool. It also doesn't help that obviously that's the bit where the BPM of His World jumps and says you don't know.
I mean, it jumps slightly. I really don't think that was a big part of the problem. I think
but the click track pauses for split second. It's a bit funky. It's a funky bit.
It's kind of interesting on how, especially too, when you have a really good mixer and then you get rid of that person who's mixing for a different person. You don't do that during show day because that other person who's running the board has a completely different ideology on how that board works. So that makes it harder for people to relearn how the board is. I don't know if it was a scheduling thing, but I kind of wish they had the person who mixed the board originally also do it in the show. I feel like if that was if that really happened, I feel like that show would have been a perfect show.
Yeah.
Like there wouldn't have been as many
Perhaps
problems of the band coming in early, or maybe following a lead too early or too late or something like that. That's what makes it live, though. That's what makes it memorable. At the end of the day.
So next up,
Johnny called Alex Burrows on. No, I'm kidding. He used Google Translate to translate languages. So he was playing something from Google Translate.
this is translated by Iris on the server. This crazy American loves you all very much. Thanks for creating this memory with me. I'm so thankful you're in my life. Thank you truly for being here. That was the Spanish message he
That's
played
sweet.
through Google Translate.
That's
pretty
so
cool.
sweet.
So after that, and that was kind of a sweet little thing, they went into 3. So far, what I basically did with the setlist, I just followed the standard format for Crush 40 setlist. This is the normal order. This is how things normally go. And I think these are really good early songs. And same goes for 3. I was actually surprised when I was looking through crowd recordings after by the crowd reaction of 3. I didn't think it would be that big, but actually, people were like, "Whoa, 3 is so exciting!" So, okay, note taken. Future setlist, 3 is a good pick.
It's actually one of my favorites, personally. I mean, it's just like a really hype song.
It's Michael's. It's one of Michael's least favorites.
Oh my god.
Next up, Sonic Boom. Sonic Boom, Johnny does this thing. There's a standard thing Johnny does during Sonic Boom, where he goes, during the course, he goes Sonic, and then he points at the crowd, and the crowd goes boom, and then he goes Sonic, and the crowd goes boom again, and he does that again and again. And I wanted to acknowledge that standard thing on the visual, so I did this thing where it would go boom, ! Every time he does it. So that was kind of cool.
And another, especially thing of note, Morris, you made synths from scratch.
I got some synth plugins that I normally work with, and I go through the presets and I find stuff that sounds good. It was fun getting to do some synth stuff next to the vocal and guitar mixing, because when I make music, I usually involve synths. So Free and Sonic Boom were probably the most fun I had.
Cool. Okay, next up, Call Me Crazy. What?
Cool.
You're just like, cool. Next.
So
you were
just-
you were done with the bit, and then Morris is like, I do want to talk about it. There's cool.
What do you want from me? Wow, Morris, that is outstanding content you just shared. That's absolutely amazing.
Just
Exactly,
like
that's
the
what I
Thank
purple
you.
and
Hype
Call Me
up your
Crazy.
friends.
Purple.
Yeah.
Call Me
So
Crazy. Very
something
cool.
else that was really outstanding was the purple and Call Me Crazy. I love that shade of purple in the video.
That's the most random thing I've ever heard in my life.
What? It was a good shade of purple.
Okay. Call Me
This
Crazy.
one shade of purple. Fantastic.
Alex tries to talk about Call Me Crazy for 10 minutes straight and fails every time.
No, we're going back to Sonic Boom again, guys.
Oh my.
So
But do you know what was a boom of a soundtrack banger? Call Me Crazy.
No, listen, we're actually going to go back to Sonic Boom 2013 and we're going to talk about that.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay.
Call Me
So
Crazy.
next up, it's Call Me Crazy. This is interesting because this is the second time this has ever been performed.
Yeah,
Which is pretty cool.
because it's from
And
2019.
we don't even have a recording of the first time it was performed. This is a really bizarre pick, I think, for me to put in the set list. The reason I put it in, I sort of found when I first heard "Call Me Crazy," I was kind of like, okay, cool, new Crush 40 music, hell yeah. And that was kind of like with me with Morris when he was talking about Sonic Boom Sims. But that was sort of how it was at first. But the more I listened to it, the more I realized, damn, this song's actually really fun.
Mhm.
And it's quite a banger. So when I came around to writing the set list, I was kind of like, well, look, I do want to put a non-Sonic song in there. I want to put something that's unique, something that's new, that hasn't been done much live. And Call Me Crazy, I was like, listen, this song is a great song. I think I'm going to do it. And I put it in there. Johnny didn't even have anything to say about me putting it in there. So great. So Call Me Crazy.
I would say that I think in general, Call Me Crazy and Free, I feel like should be on more set lists in the future.
Yeah. During Call Me Crazy, Johnny did in fact say, Mr. June Sonoe is his catchphrase.
Yep.
And then he looked like, oh no.
He was like, no. I really hope that some crowd members didn't actually think that was June.
I
I
hope
mean,
not.
June was on the
He
screen right
probably
behind
did.
him, so
Yeah, but
Exactly.
people. Johnny introduced Live Life. He introduced it by saying the word live, and we all know for a fact that half the crowd were probably thinking he was going to say live and learn was coming up.
That early on in the show?
Yeah, well, yeah, but you know, they don't know the Crush 40 standards. So, and after pointing at the visuals guy about 5 times to play it, he did play it, and they went into Live Life.
Yeah, I honestly
Yeah.
think Johnny's just was so full of life, and this song kind of felt really personal because he actually did a little intro in the break saying how
Yeah.
much the fans meant to him and how this song really encapsulated that feeling of many
Yeah.
fans like telling him that they grew up with the series and the song meant a lot to them. So it was really
Yeah.
like sweet. I think this song kind of felt personal.
Live Life is a beautiful song.
I think it's insane that they have only played this song twice before.
Really?
Well, 3 times if you, yeah. So it's silly. It's I think it deserves way. I think it's such a great song, and it's obviously they should have softer songs to break the pace a bit. So I don't understand why this is not in other set lists, and that's why I put it in mine because it absolutely should be there. And sure enough, the crowd was very happy, and one of the people on the server, she had like a card or a poster or something that she was giving to Johnny at the meet and greet that said that mentioned Live Life on it, and Johnny just so happened to come down into the crowd and get her to sing some of the lines for Live Life.
That's
So
so
it was all a very beautiful scene. Right after Live Life, we transition, and I remember when I sent Morris the guide for this, like the guide of how I wanted the show to flow. I remember him saying, "God, the way you ended Live Life is so cursed."
Yeah, and then when you just hear like that with like the original song, the way Alex made it, it sounds a bit weird. But of course, when the band plays it, it's like, yeah, it works.
It's really smooth, yeah. So Live Life sort of, before it properly, like the actual song properly ends, they transition into Night of the Wind. And the crowd went wild.
Yeah, they just go crazy.
I'm sure that girl who was in the crowd who was shouting Night of the Wind during Sonic Heroes was now screaming.
was self-fulfilled.
And then
I get
also, like,
why.
one person next to them was just screaming, "Where's June Snow?"
Like 3
Yeah.
times.
Morris, of course you're listening to Live Life right now.
Yeah.
God.
Anyway. So they went to Night of the Wind. That was cool. Great.
Yeah, and it was just a
and-
great performance.
It was great. That was one of the most over-engineered videos in terms of the visuals, but we'll move on from that one. Great. And then we had I Am All of Me.
Yeah, with
I'm
just
all
a
for you.
sick, deep red visual transition. It just
Yeah, this is
flowed.
quite the song. I remember when I made the guide track, I intentionally left, like, there was like a solid 5 seconds of just nothing before it kicks in. I wanted to do that to build, like, momentum and build it up. And then boom, I Am. In practice, the guitarist kind of held his last note for several seconds, so it didn't quite happen like that, but it worked, and that was really cool. And the crowd went insane when I Am All of Me came in, so excellent. Great. That's good.
I did a lot of like backwards engineering with the original song to like get some of the
Yeah.
backing sounds that you can barely even hear.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And on their own, they do sound a little messy because, you know,
Yeah.
the way that they were extracted.
But
But in
that's-
practice, yeah.
Also, if you do listen to it, during the,
Bridge.
I call it the fast part, the bridge,
bridge, yeah.
depending on how you guys want to say it, Johnny just didn't sing.
He just did
I mean-
sing the I am
He-
whatever
I
it is.
think what happened,
The band itself got
Yeah.
desynced as well.
I'll tell you what, actually. If you look at that section of the performance, he's walking around in a circle on the stage, and you might think, okay, what does that mean? Well, a few days before the show, I remember he was telling me as he was adjusting his teleprompter, he was saying, "Listen, okay, if I miss a bit in my teleprompter, I'll just walk around on stage and let the crowd. I will just walk around in a circle on stage."
Okay,
and let
so
the
he
crowd-
missed a
And
bit.
sure enough, and I Am, there he is walking around in a circle. So I'm thinking that maybe that was indeed teleprompter issues. I guess now is probably a good time to mention the performance of the members that were on stage. So it's interesting. They obviously, like, this is their first time doing this, like, with Johnny and doing Crush 40 songs. So I know that the guitar parts are heavily simplified. I remember Manic, one of our server members, was saying that the drums were also simplified. And I don't know about bass. It's kind of hard to tell, of course. But so kind of, and I know that some people kind of are getting very kind of put off by that. I don't mind too much, and again, I don't blame them, obviously, like, you know, okay, fine.
Yeah, I truly
I
don't
don't
think
blame
it's
them
their
at all.
fault. And honestly, I couldn't tell all that much. Like from someone who doesn't know the parts, it sounded fine. I couldn't really
Yeah.
discern a difference, truly.
The biggest thing I noticed was the guitar solos and how they
We're
Like, they
different
were-
sometimes.
yes, some of them were like a quarter right, and then the rest was just like not the solo.
But like, even that's not like really an issue. That's completely
Yeah.
normal to do.
Yeah, it's new. So that was it's kind of just worth noting that. And so we come into Never Turn Back. This is kind of the rest of the set list is just following standard Crush 40 stuff again.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Never Turn Back,
Slight desync at the start.
yeah.
And they also have another thing that's not usual that Alex did for the visuals. He sort of had the Crush 40 logo fit over the Shadow the Hedgehog logo, so you could kind of see it inside the Crush 40 logo.
Wait, you
And then
did
it would
that? I
fade
didn't
into the
even notice
visuals. Yeah, it was a really cool touch.
that. Cool.
I like that.
It wasn't intentional.
Okay, well, it looked good.
Well, we'll take
So-
that back then.
Okay.
Yeah, take it back.
Actually,
Wasn't
I'll
cool.
cut out. We'll cut out the bit. I remember something kind of funny actually. Towards the end of the song, I remember I was editing the visuals, and it was like a few days until the show, not a few days, but like a week until the show, and I was like, I need something to like. I had like this blank bit towards the end of the song, and I was like, I need something to fill in the visuals here, and I said, yes. I'm going to put in the scene of Maria getting shot. Let's go. So I pulled that in.
And in one of the crowd recordings, you can hear someone yell, "Maria!"
Yeah.
Yeah, someone in the crowd just yells, Maria!
Yeah, exactly, during that bit. And I remember that when I did it, and the show happened, I remember a few days after the show, Michael, one of the co-staff members of the server,
Who did the guitars in the backing track?
I remember him just coming into my DMs and being like, great visuals, but did you really have to put Maria getting shot at the end of Never Turn Back? Like, he just led with that, you know, like there was no,
He just slides in and he's just like,
yeah. Did you really have to put Maria getting shot? And I was like, yes. So
Yes, the correct answer is always yes.
All Hell Shadow.
the beautiful bit that you really need to expand on in the future, Alex. You cannot let this go untouched. We had the classic
Now loading,
06,
now
now
loading,
loading,
now
now loading, now loading.
Yeah, and it just like
Yeah.
loops on the screen. That I stole that from June. Okay, full props goes to June. He did that at the previous show's visuals, and I just kind of copied it. But I do want to exaggerate it even more in the future.
And then
And again, it kind of ties into again that showing that whoever's making the visuals fully understands the context of these songs and what they're doing. Okay, go on, Bob.
Yeah, I was saying it was like a pretty badass transition despite that joke though, because as soon as the now loading ended, you just had the guitar kick in
Yeah.
and it just sounded
I was
really
really
cool.
happy. I was really happy with how the visuals for All Hell Shadow came out in the opening. It goes back and forth between two cutscenes in sync with the rhythm guitars, and it's pretty cool. All Hell Shadow transitioned.
There are so
Into
many
Live and
ways that you
Learn.
can play this game. Oh, yes, Live and Learn.
Yep,
That
crowd
synth
just
stuff.
goes wild, like
Of
wild,
course,
wild.
as fully anticipated.
That one,
As the song
Yep.
kicks in.
the intro synth, that one sound
Yeah.
has so much energy.
It just you hear that
Yeah.
synth and then everyone just starts screaming. It's like the
Yeah,
and
they
everyone just
know.
goes
They
like,
know
"Oh
what's
my
coming."
God.
Alex, for the next show, we should pull a Sonic Generations and play the Time Eater Final Attack theme instead.
I don't even know what you're referring to, but I'm sure it's great.
It starts with the same synth, but then it turns into a remix of the Sonic 4 title theme.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my god! What a scam that is.
That's gold. That's just
Scam.
gold.
that is fortunate.
June did a
Okay.
little bit of trolling in Sonic Generations.
After Live and Learn, the band comes back up on stage to get even more hyped up to go into the final song, Is What I'm Made Of.
So the drum intro was actually really on point, and RM had his gameplay and visuals on what I made of actually, which was really cool.
Yeah.
He had his own
Of course, we're gonna
Sonic
skip
Heroes
over
visuals.
kind of. There was like they had some slight issues getting the song started. The drummer couldn't hear the click track for some reason when they started. That was pretty weird.
I
But
will
they
say
they
though
got it
that
resolved.
it did sound pretty cool, like how they teased it basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Incidentally, but
RMO5, his visuals were in that song. I remember him telling me that like it was suffering him playing that boss. He really hates that boss in Sonic Heroes. But I let him do it, and I remember I messaged him like 2 days before I had to get everything rendered out. And I was like, listen, I need visuals for what I made of. And he was like, oh, okay, all right. So that was how the show went. From here, there are some like professional recordings, and they had this. I asked the crew. I told the crew. I was like, this needs to be professionally recorded, like, because I am kind of a little bit obsessed with that sort of thing and making sure it's all good. And so so I told them that, and they spared a singular crew member to professionally record it. They had a bunch of cameras around the stage, and this guy had this switcher, this control, so he can switch between the cameras around the stage in one hand, and he had a handheld camera in the other hand, and he was just like multitasking between the two. He was so dedicated though, like props to him. When one of the cameras over on the other end of the stage gets knocked, he bolted over to that end of the stage, adjusted the camera, ran back,
I missed
got
that.
back to editing with his right hand.
I missed that. Oh my god.
So that's pretty fun.
So if we had to give the thing a rating scale, like what would you guys rate the Chili show?
Ooh,
8 out of 10. Considering all the issues, 8 out of 10.
6 out of 10, maybe 5.
I'd say like 7.
I was gonna give it a 7 as well.
Yeah.
Like, it was solid. There were some issues, but it
7
was
to
just a
8,
solid
yeah.
show.
I would say in total though, like at least personally, this is one of Johnny's best performances. In the past few years, I can tell that this had a lot of energy with it.
That's true. So maybe 6.
Maybe 6.
All right, but with that being said, guys, I think we're going to go ahead and end off this episode of the Crushcast. Thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you guys soon with
you.
another episode of the Crushcast.
Yep, see you in
Bye.
episode 2, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.